say if the ball goes over your head and you run back like Chris, always try to knock it 3 feet over the baseline on your opponent's side. It'll almost always fall in because you've miscalculated the energy when you're running back. Shows you some class, doesn't it? Chris not afraid to come in.
Oh, yeah, she takes the short ball here. Nice. Sabatini's all the way out of the court. Leaves her for the backhand down the line volley.
But she played very close to the line. Chris has been in this position so many thousands of times.
Sabatini getting a little careless. This is not the time to let Chris Evert back in this match. This is where she has to concentrate twice as hard, because if you let Chris Evert back in there, she can dominate, and you can be in the third set before you even know it.
And rest assured, this crowd will come alive if Chris is able to win this first game.
Well, we've seen 6 drop shots, and they are 0 for 6. Chris on her back foot and not on the front foot, which is her trademark. She's usually in such a great position, leaning forward. But in my opinion, she's a little slow. Something's going on. This is not Chris Evert.
What you call anticipation on Chris's part. Gabby's running her from corner to corner, but Chris was already sprinting cross court, anticipating. Nice scoop up by Gabby for a little drop shot. Chris is there and goes cross court again. 9 times out of 10, she'll go cross court on that forehand pass.
Game to Chris Evert. And the folks here at the Manhattan Country Club applaud Chris Evert. She holds her serve to win the first game of the second set. Sabatini 6. Let's check it out.
First serves 85%, even though Sabatini's just spinning it in. That is the story. That's why she's won the first set. And look at the unforced errors. 22 for Chris Evert. Has she ever had that many unforced errors in a set, Vic Braden?
Maybe in 1967.
Mid-finals of the 12 and unders.
I want to go into Sabatini's elbow now and compare her to Steve Grogan. When the elbow drops, the racket stops. That's a very important thing to remember. The racket cannot continue its loop as the elbow is coming down.
Steve Grogan, the quarterback of the New England Patriots.
Right, and so when he was throwing his passes, he would throw a 50-yarder and hit the guy in the chest and one on the knees. He said, why? Well, when he found out why he hit the one on the knees, his elbow would sink, absorbing the shock, and the ball could not go as fast. Same as Gabriela. He said, you know, they only told me that in junior high school.
40 up. 3 more errors by Chris. Sabatini is serving with new balls, putting a little more pressure on her. You notice the elbow, it does stay down, and the thing is you can't get acceleration here. She kind of stops her motion and brings the ball right down, and mishits a lot of balls too.
40-15. You suppose anyone has tried to tell her about this and work with her and suggest that maybe she change her service?
Well, Angel's been working with her a lot, and according to Jill Hetherington, who was watching her practice her serve today, said, God, all she does is practice her serve. You'd think it would get better.
There's no way it can get better. You drop your elbow and you can play 50 weeks. I sat in a window in Buenos Aires as I was training the coaches there and just watched. Why do they have so much trouble on the serve? And part of it was this elbow business. Looked like the trophy.
Chris finally with the drop shot. Gabriela running up on this full run. Chris with the lob volley there. Well played. Chris closes in the net. Gabriela tries to hit it right in the net.
Sabatini had a 40 love lead. Chris now has battled back to deuce.
Sabatini cannot afford to lose this game and let Chris get a break here and take command of the second set.
Just may be on the brink of doing that.
This is where Chris is so tough. You give her the smallest opening, she takes advantage of it and gets back in this match.
Michael, you got to remember that Chris been playing people just keeping the ball back, and they've been making the errors for her. All of a sudden now she's playing somebody for the first time in this tournament where she's got to push the player around a little bit. So all of a sudden she's playing some kind of player that she hasn't played all week long, and she's got to get her head together. But this is good for her, especially for getting ready for the Nationals.
Chris has another advantage.
Sabatini gets lazy on those volleys. Technically, she volleys really well, but at the last second, she lets that racket head drop, and she doesn't really commit to hit the ball.
Evert had not lost a set in this tournament up until Sabatini won the first one 6-2 in this championship match. Beating Faf, Shafi, Fendick, and Rahi. Chris Evert. She breaks Sabatini after Sabatini had a 40 love lead. That doesn't give you a boost of confidence. I don't know what will.
Sabatini let court. Chris decides to hit a forehand at the last minute, inside out. Then she comes to net. Smart play here, although she could have done more with that volley, and she didn't. And she was lucky that Sabatini missed the lob long.
Good serve tossed in by Evert.
Sabatini went a little wildly on that return, huh, Vic?
Yeah.
He's going for the gusto on that one.
Well, she hit the ball about 50 miles an hour, but her grunt went 180.
Chris yelling to herself, come on that serve.
I should guess so.
Thought it might have been out.
Ooh, Gabriela's going to be there.
She will be now.
She thought the ball was was out. She was so close to it, though, it may have actually hit right around her feet, and it's hard for the linesman to pick it up sometimes.
Also, there is a shadow in that area from one of the light standards.
But, you know, from a technical side, when a ball's coming in right under you, that's why an umpire can't do it. You have to make a saccade with the eye, and the ball is traveling faster than the eye can make a movement. At the last 40 degrees, or about 5.5 feet, it's really hard to do that, so you can't call it beneath you.
Finally, Chris setting up a point with her serve there. Really using it to her advantage. It's one of the first times I've seen her do that today.
I'll tell you that Sabatini hit that forehand with some anger. She whipped it.
40-15.
Yeah, but she's just playing vintage Chris now, and Chris gets tougher and tougher, and you don't want to get Chris Evert mad because she's a great champ. She knows how to come back, so Sabatini's going to have to raise her game.
Not that way. Another game for Chris Evert. Everett leads 3 games to love in the second set over Sabatini after the young lady from Argentina won the opener.
Great guy.
Kind of shy, he sits back in the back for us. He says, hey, I don't want to make waves. But boy, our people love him.
Quiet, please. Thank you.
This match is about an hour or so old right now. Sabatini down to love 3 in the second after winning the first.
I wonder who this could be.
I'll tell you who it's going to be. Chris Evert. She was a member of the Phoenix Rackets of the league that was called at that time World Team Tennis. Now just simply Team Tennis.
Goodness gracious.
Then Chris later went over to the Los Angeles Strings and teamed up with Eli Nastasi and B.J. Ambritrage and Kiyomura. Won a championship.
You know, I just don't want to be
30-15.
sound smart or anything. That ball's coming in there just like a blimp.
Sabatini's lost her rhythm now. She hit that backhand awfully late. She's been forcing too much for her shots. She's let Chris Evert right back in this match.
Speaking of the blimp, why does a player lose it just like that, and White?
Well, when you're playing against Chris Evert, who puts so much pressure on you, and you try to make your shots too good, and that's exactly what Gabriela Sabatini has been doing the first 3 games of this set. She was playing conservative and setting the shots up perfectly, which takes a little bit more time. Now she tends to be rushing a little bit and trying to use too many winners.
Game to Chris Evert. Sabatini won the first 4 games of the first set. Chris Evert has returned the compliment here in the second.
You got to remember, Michael, that this has been completely reversed. In the first set, Sabatini was staying over the ball, Chris Evert making a lot of errors. Chris Evert now making fewer errors, and Sabatini pulling off the ball, trying the big shot. So it's a combination, too, of Chris cutting down the number of mistakes.
I think Sabatini might be a little tired, too. She got really lazy on that last point running for that backhand.
Remember, she
Footwork
had
isn't quite as quick.
almost a 3-hour match against Zeta Garrison in the semis last night, finally winning in 3 sets.
I think she's saving herself right now for the 3rd set.
That'd be my guess too, Vic.
The last 2 shots would indicate that.
Well, when you're in this mode, if you think you're going to go down, you're better off to experiment with some shots and say, okay, stay over the ball. Just work out what are my problems right now and use these games to work out your problems. You always have to be careful. Andre Agassi knew that he was going down one particular game in Argentina in the Davis Cup a few weeks ago. So he just reached up, caught the service return, and walked down the other side.
Look at that, 14 for Sabatini. It was definitely Chris Evert in the first set who had 22 unforced errors. If you notice on the return of serve here, Gabriela Sabatini stands with a backhand grip. She wants to hit that backhand. I'm surprised Chris isn't serving more balls to her forehand.
Or straight in at her.
Out. 30 off.
This is not the game that Chris wants to lose. You're on your serve. That puts a whole different perspective on the set. So she's got to hold her serve to go for 5.
Plus, Chris just doesn't like to lose points or make cheap mistakes. I mean, she was up 30 love here. She made 2 careless errors. She doesn't like that at all. She's a perfectionist.
40, 30.
I'd say that's going for a little too much on the return, wouldn't you, Vic?
God, it's not bad if you're trying to hit it into Detroit, but geez, she's flailing that thing.
Chris knew it as soon as she took 2 steps toward the net. Oh, yeah, she said. And oh, yeah, what a forehand cross-court by Sabatini.
Nice return by Sabatini. Chris opts to come in down the line, which gives Sabatini the angle here in the open court.
Perfect.
Trying that low percentage shot over the high part of the net.
But that percentage shot, even though it might be low, was working for Sabatini in the first set.
Yeah, but now she needs to regroup and go for more of the middle, more for the percentage shot, because hitting over the high part of the net when you're down 4 love is not going to get you back in the second set.
Oh! Yes.
And you notice when one player starts making a lot of mistakes, they're not having rallies, the other player does it too, because it's really hard to get your rhythm when someone's hitting cockeyed shots. One time they're hitting the side of the fence, and the next time it's a miss hit, or then she hits a winner. So it's really hard to establish a groove. Chris really concentrating well now. She knows she's in the driver's seat this set. Sabatini took a chance and it paid off. She got the short ball to wind around and hit that inside out forehand. She likes to be aggressive.
second set. 5-love, Chris Evert over Gabriela Sabatini. Sabatini won the first set. Standing in the aisles here today on the sunshiny day. At the outset, the temperature at courtside was 107. I would guess it's up to around 110 or more right now.
Foot fault.
That was the call.
That's going to really give her some problems with that serve now.
Love the game.
Foot fault, you know, is when you actually step on the line before you make contact with the ball. I used to have a lot of problems with that, moving my left foot up. It can be very frustrating to the rhythm of your serve.
And when it's called, it gets you ticked off, too.
Especially on second serves, because you lose the point.
And talking about foot faults, if you were playing an opponent and you knew that she often foot faulted, but it wasn't called, would you go to the person in the chair and say, watch for her foot faults?
Sure I would, especially if the score got close.
No, but I mean before the match.
Players aren't allowed to talk to the lines people, so I don't think that would be appropriate at that time. Big serve this time by Gabriela Sabatini, getting Chris all the way outside of the court. Finally, she's starting to hit her first serve.
Well, it's about time. I tell you, I just am amazed at the talent that Gabriela has. If she puts it together, she's going to be awesome.
all. But can Gabriela Sabatini ever be #1 in the world with her elbow and the service problems that you have detailed?
I don't think so. No way. Plus the rest of her game, the approach shot needs to be bigger. But in my opinion, if she gets good advice, she'll take it. She's a very intelligent person. She ought to get some high-speed film and get a little research done.
Sabatini with the overhead.
40, 30.
There's Andy. That overhead put Chris in the box with Andy almost.
Andy Mill, husband of 2 weeks of Chris Evert. To say about that drop shot.
Well, I say 1 for 8, baby, is not a good percentage, but it's a darn good
Sabatini
time.
stretches out. Chris comes out, has the short ball, decides to take the drop shot. Sabatini, knowing that she's down 5-11, says, I'm not going to run for that. I don't blame her. It's too hot out there.
Advantage Sabatini.
She's really hitting out on her forehand this set. She's hitting wildly, making a few errors, but when she does connect, she's hitting that ball about Mach 5, I think.
But the style of play, she's always going to have really good wins, bad losses, up, down, big string, and a big string of losses.
Does so well. When she gets ahead, she will take the chance and come to net like that.
Well, how do you think Gabriela's going to feel it when she plays somebody who can take the service return and attack on every service return in the entire match? That's the answer to you, Mike. So, but if she serves hard, can keep that person back, that's a new animal. But Chris is perfectly matched for Gabriela.
Chris Evert is 5'6", And she was stretched out every inch. And then made a great shot.
Here she is, stretching way outside the doubles alley. Gets the ball. Sabatini has the whole court and chips it. Got lazy with her feet, I think, Vic. And hits the ball right in the net.
You know, vintage Chris Evert is coming back. Not only does she stretch wide, but she hits a nice deep ball back. Yeah, she's human.
Mad for missing that one. Actually, the court is slanted, though. When Sabatini hits that kick serve out to the north side of the court, it's almost like you're at a little disadvantage because you're hitting uphill, sort of. There is a tiny degree of a slant in this court, along with the fast speed as well.
Down the line, Sabatini.
Courts are sloped about 1 inch for every 10 feet. And you're right, sometimes you get the feeling in some courts you're hitting up more than on other courts.
I've played on this court. I played in the tournament a few years ago and last year. And there's definitely an advantage when you're serving wide to this side.
Sabatini gets at least a consolation game in this second set.
Evert leads 5-1.
And now Evert will try to serve out the second set.
Chris checking out the sun again. I want to talk about the sun, why Gabriela and Chris have more problems than somebody else who's a more aggressive server.
All right, go.
All right. When you're really throwing that ball well out in front and towards the net and to your right side, you're not looking into the sun. So if you throw a high toss and back, you're looking more into the sun. So when you're a defensive player, you're not going to the net behind your serve like Chris and Gabriela. They're much more apt to be looking straight into the sun like that.
Sabatini gets set. She can whip it with the best.
Tell you, if Martina were out here serving, she, even though she's left-handed, she were a right-hander. Her style of play, the ball would not be in the sun as much.
Still a lot of unforced errors from Sabatini.
Watch Chris's toss. You'll see it's about 6 feet higher than her racket. It used to be 16 feet higher than her racket when we did the first study with her.
40-15.
I think Gabriela's pretty much given up on the set, and she's going to try to refocus and regroup for this third, because it's stupid to waste your energy on the second set against Chris Evert. I mean, coming back and then to go in a third set
Double set point.
would really exhaust you.
That's out. Point and game. Second set to Chris Evert. Sabatini 6-2 in the first. Evert comes back 6-1 to send it into the third and deciding set.